Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Maria. Today we are making a DIY easy home decor. Let's get to it. Okay, so these squares, I bought a few of them from the dollar store. These are 5.5 inch squares. Um, I am only going to use three for this craft though. One side of these squares is like really nice and smooth, but the other side is a little rough. So I had to sand that side down and the sides because, you know, I don't like splinters, and I'm pretty sure you guys don't either. But once I was sanding them down, like I was done sanding them down, I used my white Swan by DIY Paints, and I painted each square in white, and I ended up using two coats of these. The squares, like they're really light, but for some reason, I don't know, like usually I just use one coat with this paint, but for some reason this one I had to use two coats of the paint for each square. I did the sides, just the front and the sides, I didn't do the back. But I had this rope and I was thinking about how I was going to put this around. So I wasn't sure if I was going to put the squares like this or if I was going to put them side by side yet. But I wanted to see how it looked with the rope before I decided I was going to go with the rope, because I was just going to leave them plain, but I didn't want to put the squares separately on the wall. I wanted them to be together. So I just I was looking at this rope because I did have another rope, but I think I like this one better. So that's why I ended up going with this one. So moving forward, I then grabbed my wood stain. Um, it's Golden Oak by Varathane, and I sand the pieces down a little bit because I wanted some of the wood to be visible. So once I was done sanding these down, I then put a little bit of the wood stain on before I put my words on. Okay, so this is me opening up my wood stain. I do not need a lot. Like I only use a little bit of this. So the paper towel that I had on hand, I just used that, dabbed it a little bit, and then I put it around the edges. I didn't use a lot of this. I didn't want to go through wearing the gloves and all that because it was like a quick use. And these squares aren't but so big. So once I was done doing this, I smeared it all around the squares because I wanted them to have like a little color to it. And then I let that dry for a little bit before I put my words on. But once I let that dry, I was trying to see how I was gonna put these in place because I wanted to put them side by side instead of like the way I had them when I was checking out the rope. And I feel like this side looked a lot better. So I'm putting grateful, thankful, blessed on these squares, and then I'm going to put the rope around it. But I'm going to put these on first before I move on to the next step. Okay, so here I am putting all my words onto my squares. I did print these out using my Cricut, but the dollar store has stencils that have this one stencil, and it has grateful, thankful, blessed. And I do have that I'm going to be using to do on something else, but I wanted to do this first because I saw, like, didn't see this, like I had this idea and I was like, you know what, let me just do something with these squares, and this was what came to mind. So that's how I did these. Now I was gonna put the rope on, and I realized that the squares kept moving, and I was like, I don't want them to be moving around after I put that together. I wanted them to be sturdy, so I got some popsicle sticks, and I got some, like, the smallest screws that I can find, but I got some hot glue gun, put that in place to hold these together, and then I let that sit for a couple minutes. Hot glue gun, of course, works fast. But I let it sit for a couple minutes, and then I use my drill to make some small holes onto the popsicle sticks. Of course, it's gonna go right through the wood, and then I put the screws on because I wanted to make sure that it was secure, because the hot glue gun could only hold it but so much. But I wanted to make sure that it was it was like on there and it wasn't gonna fall once I put it together. So after I was done doing that, then I used my hot glue gun to glue the rope in place. So I started on one end and I worked my way all the way around, all the way to the end of where I started from. So once I was at the end, I do cut the rope where it ends. The little excess that was left over, I do grab like the glue gun and I glue it in place because it's like a little, I would say, fray at the end. So I wanted to make sure that that didn't stick out. So I used the hot glue gun to hold it in place as well. So I didn't want to use any of my hooks or anything else on here. So I grabbed some of the twine that I had and I cut 3 strands. I honestly did not measure how big they were or how long they were, so I couldn't really tell you. But they're not, but like so many inches. I would say about 4 inches, is all you really need. But I used my staple gun and I stapled them in place and then I looped it and then stapled it again because I wanted to make sure that if it was hanging, it wouldn't slide off of the staple. Um, it was being held on another spot. I don't know. I guess that's how I think. Maybe I didn't have to do it, but I did it anyway. But I did that on all 3 squares. So it has like 3 loops. And then I measured where the loops were on the wall, like on the back of there with some tape. And then I put that on the wall. And I put the nails on the wall and then I hung it up. Um, this was actually pretty easy. I like how it turned out. You don't have to do it the same way that I did it. You can do this in so many different ways. You can paint them a different color to go with your, home decor, however you want to do it. But I wanted to go this way because I went from having all these colors in my apartment to having just like the really light white and gray. But if you stay to the end of this video, please like and subscribe for more. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoy it and I hope you try it. But it turned out really, really cute. Thanks for watching. Bye.